This is Monterastelli, and welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 315, originally aired May 16th, 2018. Hi everyone, I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to listen to this. Thanks for spending some time with me. Today we're going to have a conversation and a short process on how you can use tapping to puncture your day to deal with issues that are kind of niggling and nagging and won't seem to go away. Before we do that, just two quick announcements. The first is, if you'd like to become a supporter of the Tapping Q&A podcast, all you need to do is go to tappingqa.com/support. In addition to helping us to grow and expand the podcast, to create the higher quality each and every time we send a podcast to you, there's also some amazing thank you gifts that you can receive as well. tappingqa.com/support. The second thing is, if you haven't done it, make sure you go back and download episode 313 and 314, the last two episodes. I shared with you two of my favorite tools and protocols that I use when I'm teaching classes to go after issues. And I was pleasantly surprised with the emails that I've received over the last couple of weeks from people who have downloaded those and used those processes. In those audios, I also share with you how you can download a written version of the process, as well as 13 other tapping tools absolutely free. So go to tappingqandapodcast.com, click on the links for episode 313 and 314 for some tools that you can start using right away to improve your tapping. So today's topic came about because of something that I have been personally dealing with physically in my body. Over the course of the last 6 or 7 months, I've taken exercise much more seriously. I've been working out in a strenuous way 4 times a week. I've really been loving it. But because of that, particularly the amount of time that I've been spending on a treadmill, my legs have been beaten up a little bit just because of the amount of effort that I'm putting in and the amount of exertion I'm putting in as I keep pushing myself. And so because of that, I ended up with a really sore muscle on my right leg, just outside of my IT band. And as I was seated, it wasn't something that I noticed. But every single time I got up to move, I would notice the pain, feeling like a pulled muscle. And every time I worked out, it certainly hampered my ability to do some things, because with every single step, I could feel it in the muscle as well as up into the hip joint. And at a certain point on Sunday, I thought to myself, well, why aren't you tapping on that? And I then, not just sarcastically, not just castigating myself for not doing it, I then thought about it in a constructive way. Honestly, why wasn't I tapping on it? And the thoughts that came to mind were, one, it's a physical pull, like it's an actual structural problem in my body because the muscle is pulled. So more than likely, one tapping section isn't going to do anything for that other than numb the pain in the moment. The second reason that came to mind was and I didn't realize this, I was worried that if I dug into this in some short, small way, that I would actually be uncovering and unpacking other issues that were going to make it more painful for me that I might not want to dive into. The third reason was I didn't feel like I had enough time, which is a silly reason, because when I'm tapping for something like a physical pain like that, the tapping session isn't going to be more than 2 or 3 minutes, just as I tune into the different parts of it. But all of those pieces of resistance were there, and I wasn't doing anything about it. I was just in pain when I was moving and I was working out. So I decided, again on Sunday, that I was going to approach this in a slightly different way. And so it was 3 really simple steps that I'm going to share with you, and then we'll talk about what the results of those 3 simple steps were. So the first step was just giving myself permission to know that I could tap throughout the day on this issue, that it wasn't something that I had to take care of once, and in my day, I have more than enough time to tap for 2 or 3 minutes on an issue 3 or 4 times throughout the day. Like, there are lots of things that I do throughout my day, which I have the time and space to do that. And so one, just giving myself permission to know that it doesn't have to be a long, complicated session, but I'm just going to spend a little time with it. The second thing that I did was I looked at those pieces of resistance that I talked about, that I don't have enough time, tapping's not going to make a difference, that it's not something that I can fit into my day. When I looked at those three things, I then took a little time at the beginning of the day to tap on that resistance. So I just named each piece of those resistances and then named why it was silly that I had those resistances. This is something that is physical, that I don't think I can take care of in one session, but any sort of tapping that I do right now is going to make a difference. Any tapping that I do right now is going to make me healthier. Even if I don't get all the way healthy, getting a little bit healthier, reducing the pain is a good thing. So I just spoke directly into what the resistance was. I don't have enough time to do this. It's going to be compromising my day and it's going to get in my way. But I recognize the fact that I have 2 or 3 minutes all throughout my day where I can tap it. All it needs is 2 or 3 minutes. So again, just specifically stating what the resistance was, and then just giving the opposite advice, giving the advice that I would be giving to a friend if they were encountering something similar to this. And then the third thing was just having a plan to allow this tapping to puncture my day. And for me, was just having a plan to allow tapping puncture my day. And for me, it was a pretty simple thing to do. All I had to do was find something that I could tie the tapping through that happens throughout the day. So as my day unfolds, I get up multiple times throughout the day and I make myself a cup of coffee or I refill my water. And so basically what I decided to do is every single time I was getting a cup of coffee or I was refilling my water, what I would do is I would take 1 minute and I would tap for the physical pain. That was it. That's all I needed to do was just 1 minute. And for me, I have a watch that allows me to do timers on it all the time. And so I just set myself a 1 minute timer, closed my eyes and did tapping for that thing and then moved throughout my day. What was really amazing was the fact that within the first 12 hours, I no longer felt the pain throughout the day. On the second day, not only did I notice that the pain had basically been eliminated from the muscle, but the range of motion in my hip joint had improved. Now, this is not to say that tapping replaces any sort of physical therapy, and when we have a physical issue, the first thing that we should do should tap. That would be unhelpful for me to provide that sort of advice because it's not a smart thing to do. When we have physical issues, we need to reach out to the medical professionals who can help us to do that. But by simply taking the time, it did make a difference, and I was in a healthier place. So it's really easy, and it only takes a minute for us to do this. So it's really a 3-step process. Name the thing that you want to change and give yourself permission to tap for it. Tap on any resistance that you have to diving into this issue in a small way, and then creating a small plan that allows you to puncture your day. Tie it to something like I did, or just set an alarm every 2 or 3 hours that you're going to take a minute or so and tap for that, and it's going to make a huge difference. If this little process is helpful and you know someone who could use it, do me a favor, pass it along. Don't spam your inbox, but certainly share this with someone who could find this simple approach very easy. Make sure you check out our entire archive, which is found at tappingqandapodcast.com, particularly episode 313 and 314 from the last couple of weeks, where we give you more specific tapping tools that you can use right away. If you have a question, if you have a comment, if you know someone we should be interviewing in the future, please let me know. Some of the best episodes of the podcast come from people just like you who've shared useful information with me. I can be reached at Gene, Gene, at tappingqna.com, or if you're on the website, just click on the contact link. I will get that. If you happen to be one of the people who've downloaded the Tapping Q&A app, just click on the contact button. You can send me an email or a voicemail from right inside of the app. For the Tapping Q&A podcast, this is Gene Monterastelli. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye-bye. The Tapping Q&A podcast is copyright Gene Monterastelli, Tapping Q&A 2016. All views expressed by guests are those of the guests and not necessarily of Gene Monterastelli or Tapping Q&A.